What's so important they had to lock the doors? Let's explore 10 places that you are not allowed. Some places are closed for good reasons. To protect fragile treasures, shield rare ecosystems, guard sacred ground, or keep the curious safely far away. What if some places are closed for other reasons? In this episode, we're discussing 10 of the world's most off-limit sites, places you've heard whispers about but probably will never step inside. From sealed chambers beneath the sands to islands ruled by wind and birds, each one asks the same question: what's so important they had to lock the doors? Let's find out. The Vatican Secret Archives. The old nickname Secret Archives sparked centuries of conspiracies, but the Latin secretum really meant private. Even with the modern name, access remains tightly controlled. Not for tourists and not a casual library card situation. Only approved scholars can get in, and only for approved research windows. Inside are papal letters, statecraft, and the paper trail of world history. Correspondence with kings, scientists, explorers, and revolutionaries. Why it's locked, what they tell us, preservation, order, and the kind of security you need for one-of-a-kind documents. Many materials are steadily being cataloged or opened by period, but that's a marathon, not a sprint. Why it's locked? Speculation. Hidden files on the Knights Templar, early Christian texts and forbidden books of the Bible, World War II-era diplomacy, or documents that would rewrite church history. What is the truth? Discuss your thoughts in the comments. Closest you can get? The Vatican museums and St. Peter's let you breathe the same air as those centuries. For the archives themselves, your best window is published scholarship and occasional curated exhibits that bring a few gems into the light. Lascaux Cave, France. The original Lascaux is closed. In the 1940s, after its discovery, visitors flocked in, and the paintings began to fade and mold. Human breath, light, and microbes started killing Ice Age art. The solution was radical. Seal the original and build faithful replicas so future generations can still feel the awe. Why it's locked? What they tell us. Conservation. A cave is a living climate system. Even the heat of a crowd shifts its balance. There are those that speculate that the real cave is closed because there are undisclosed chambers or lost paintings. What secrets do you think the cave might be hiding? Closest you can get, Lascaux 2 and 4, extraordinary replicas that mirror every curve, pigment, and brushstroke at life size. It's one of the world's best compromises between access and protection. The magic survives because the door to the original stayed shut. Surtsey Island, Iceland. When a volcano erupted off Iceland's coast in the 1960s, a brand new island rose from the sea, a once-in-a-century science experiment. Authorities did something radical. They made Surtsey Island off-limits to everyone but a handful of researchers. No picnics, no casual landings, no introduced seeds hitchhiking on boots. Why it's locked? What they tell us? To watch life arrive on a blank slate without human beings. Scientists want to study how wind, waves, birds, and time alone can build an ecosystem from scratch. Every human footprint would change the story. However, speculation asks if off-limit status might be hiding unknown finds or other government projects. Closest you can get, boat tours that circle the island, and viewpoints on nearby Jaime. In a world where we touch everything, Surtsey might be a rare promise. We'll let nature write this chapter by herself. North Sentinel Island, Andaman Sea, India. This is not a mystery to solve, it's a boundary to honor. The Sentinelese people have rejected outside contact for as long as anyone can remember. Indian law protects them with a buffer zone, and for good reason. History shows that contact can be catastrophic, for culture, for autonomy, and for health. Why it's locked? What they tell us? For human dignity and safety, although that might be a first in human history. The island is theirs, and they've been crystal clear. Speculation? The island hides untouched secrets of ancient humanity. Closest you can get? Nowhere near. Learn from a distance about the Andaman and Nicobar archipelago and reflect on a principle our global age sometimes forgets. No is a complete sentence. Sealed shafts and hidden voids of the Great Pyramid, Giza, Egypt. The Great Pyramid has been studied for centuries, yet it still keeps secrets. Narrow air shafts from the Queen's Chamber end in blocking stones. Tiny robots have peeked past one door to find another. Non-invasive scans have also hinted at hidden voids, rooms, corridors that haven't been breached. Why it's locked? What they tell us? Because the line between discovery and damage is razor thin. Drill too eagerly and you lose context forever. Wait and new technology might see what chisels would destroy. And perhaps we've found exactly that just recently. Recent imaging has discovered incredible and immense structures beneath the pyramids. The imaging actually matches and lines up with ancient accounts, which were previously dismissed to be fantasy and only legend. The only speculation here is, what are these chambers really meant for? I love this topic right now. Please discuss in the comments what you think of these chambers beneath the pyramids. Closest you can get. The Giza Plateau itself, plus museum displays and published scan data that let you experience the thrill. Area 51, Nevada, USA. The fence is real, the warnings are real, and the purpose, experimental aviation, has never been a secret to people who follow aircraft. Here, the US states that they test platforms and tactics that only make headlines decades later. Why it's locked? What they tell us? National security. Whether you daydream about UFOs or stealth prototypes, the rule is the same: keep out. Obviously, there is a mountain of speculation around Area 51. Crashed UFOs, reverse-engineered alien tech, other experiments. The government lying to the people definitely would not be a first. Comment below, what do you think is really going on in Area 51? Closest you can get. The long desert roads, the quirky little museums in nearby towns, and the big sky over Groom Lake, best appreciated from safe legal distances. Half the mythos is the mirage of the desert. You think you see something, and maybe you do. And then the heat shimmers, or something else, and it's gone. Ni Hao, the Forbidden Island, Hawaii. Privately owned and lightly populated, Ni Hao maintains a traditional Hawaiian language-first lifestyle. There's no resort here, no car rentals, no casual foot traffic off a ferry. That's by design. Why it's locked? What they tell us? Community choice. By limiting access, residents protect language, culture, and a pace of life that would vanish under daily tourism. Speculation? A hidden time capsule society or undisclosed activities because tourists can't land. Closest you can get? Boat and snorkel excursions from neighboring Kauai that approach the reefs off Ni Hao without landing. Ilha da Queimada Grande, Snake Island, Brazil. Beautiful from a distance, lethal up close. This little Atlantic outcrop shelters an astonishing concentration of venomous golden lancehead pit vipers. Brazilian authorities restrict landings to authorized researchers and Navy personnel. Why it's locked? What they tell us? Public safety and species protection. Too many people would be hurt, and too many snakes would be harmed or exploited. Though there is speculation that the site is off limits because of secret research, and there are even myths of treasure. That's giving me Tomb Raider vibes. Closest you can get. Documentaries, field guides, and a zoomed-in lens from a passing boat. It's a vivid lesson in boundaries drawn by nature, not just by policy. Ise Jingu Grand Shrine, Inner Sanctum, Japan. Ise Jingu is rebuilt every 20 years in a ritual that refreshes both timber and tradition. Pilgrims and visitors can walk the wooded approach and feel the hush of cedar and gravel. But the holiest precinct, the innermost sanctuary, is off limits to everyone except high priests and a few Shinto officiants, with the imperial family as honored exception. Why it's locked? What they tell us? Sacredness is made in part by distance. The unseen center focuses devotion on the practice, not the spectacle. Speculation? What's really inside? Imperial regalia? Esoteric relics? Why the high fences and 20-year rebuild? Closest you can get. The outer grounds, the riverside purification, The subtle beauty of cypress roofs peeking above the fence. Not seeing everything is the point. Reverence isn't a backstage pass. Svalbard Global Seed Vault, Norway. Carved into Arctic rock above Longyearbyen, the Doomsday Vault stores backup seeds of the world's crops. Humanity's plan B for biodiversity after war, disease, or climate shock. It's not a museum, it's infrastructure. Why it's locked, what they tell us, security and stability. If you could wander in for selfies, it wouldn't be doing its job. Speculation holds that it's an elites-only doomsday bunker controlling the world's food supply. But would you be surprised? Closest you can get. The entrance portal, visible from outside. Exhibits in town that explain how the vault works, and the wider Svalbard ethos of science at the edge of the map. The most hopeful thing about a locked door is what it might be protecting for tomorrow. So, what's so important they had to lock the doors? In many cases, it's something irreplaceable, something sacred, or autonomy. Sometimes there might be more secrets buried beneath. When do we get the truth, and when are we faced with more lies and lack of transparency? Sometimes the most meaningful journey is learning why a boundary exists and choosing to honor it, or asking more questions and learning when a boundary needs to be crossed. Keep asking questions. If this kind of wonder speaks to you, subscribe to True North Trails. And let me know, would you like more of a deep dive into other secret places like Antarctica? Join us next time for the next mystery. We're going on an adventure!